Welcome to Rules of Villainy, where three new trading card game players quest and challenge their way to the competitive top tables and discuss their opinions on Disney's Lorcana. This is episode 22. This week, we'll discuss the latest news in Lorcana, answer your questions, and discuss the Lorcana Continental Challenge. I'm Villain Vince, joined as always by my two co-hosts, Villain Andy and the mayor of Lorcana himself, Brad. How's it going tonight, gentlemen?
Good. Yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling thankful. Got Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I saw a Facebook post today that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I feel like we missed an opportunity. I think today might have been like the Black Friday of releasing podcasts because Julie, or Jigsaw Julie, as I'm going to call her now, Jimmy's wife, posted she's so thankful that everybody's releasing their podcast today, so she can listen to stuff while she's making pies. And I was like, we should have done that. We should have had something.
You know that we'll be on the back end though. We can as folks are coming back home from Thanksgiving. You know, for those that are traveling, they have something to listen to. So they've got content to go places, and then they have us to reset into the week. So it'll be great. I think it's perfect. You know,
the way to look at the bright side there. I joked with her. I said, man, I think we missed a window. You could be listening to the Rules of Villainy.
I'm a big musical fan, so I'm always looking on the bright side of things. For those of you,
I need to go see Wicked.
Oh, yeah, I've heard good things about it. I've heard really good things about it. But anyway, let's get into Underworld news. Brad.
Yeah, I was gonna jump in and say that, you know, we didn't come out with a new podcast today, Wednesday when we record, but you did something really cool that was released today. What was that?
I did. I was a little surprised. I didn't know that was coming out today in particular, but it could just be that Katie told me, and I've been so busy trying to travel because, as you may notice, my background for our audio listeners is not the same as it usually is because I'm seeing a friend for the holiday. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. So we recorded on Monday night. We recorded a podcast about like LGBT kind of like issues in Lorcana and like diversity and how to make a welcoming environment. And I was super excited to be on that show with Katie, the Lord Librarian, and also Sarah. Sarah's the Lord Librarian. Katie's the Lord Keeper Inn, as part of the Lord Keepers Inn. And then there was Charlie and Mathis from Inkborn Heroes.
Yeah,
so, it was a great discussion. It was a lot of fun.
Really powerful episode, man. I was so excited to see you on it, and you sounded great. The whole episode, like I stopped what I was doing. I had a really slow work day. Whatever I was doing, I stopped it and just watched that episode for the next hour and was enthralled by it and loved it. Might have teared up a little bit when Sarah was talking about her experiences because love her, you know, met her in Seattle, and you know, after it was all done, I was like, Vince, this was incredible. I'm so glad you got to be a part of it. And so.
Well, like I said on there, really honestly, thank you to both of you. Like Brad was the one who's always like seeing these opportunities, and Andy was like, "You absolutely got to do it." And I was like, "Sure, yeah, I should absolutely do that." It was like I said, it was like super impactful. It's great to hear from other creators. And you know, you think you had a hard time with tearing up, and Sarah, it's like I just wanted to reach to the screen and give her a big hug.
Yeah.
And it was hard too, you know, because we were talking about a lot of serious stuff, and I really encourage folks, please go listen to it. We'll link it down below. You know, and obviously you both know the store that I was talking about. I do want to give a shout out to is Fortuna Games, as always, for being a super inclusive space. They're not the only ones. Grapes Games does a great job as well. A lot of stores in St. Louis do too. So if I'm not mentioning you directly, please don't think I think you're doing a bad job on being inclusive or anything. But you know, I just wanted to kind of really highlight the first store of the local community that I went to. And so it was a great experience. And I hope we have more opportunities like that. Like I really want to see other creator voices, not just from the LGBTQ community, but like I want to hear more voices from women in our community talking. I think like getting some kids' perspectives and stuff, since like Disney is such a kid-oriented thing. It's like I really want you know, everybody's voice to be heard. And like if you're thinking and itching like, hey, my voice isn't out there, like I don't have somebody to think, it's like honestly, like just get a cheap microphone and like join us as content creators. Like we'd love We want more folks to do this, and your voice is just as important as ours. We're just three dudes with microphones and a YouTube channel, so I love it. But yeah,
and we've got more ideas than we can, currently produce. So join our Discord, chat with us. We'd be more than willing to help you along your way in that journey.
Yeah, it's a collaborative effort. Like it's amazing how the content creating community here, just in Disney Lorcana overall, is so open to just working with everybody and having these experiences and just elevating everybody because they love this game and that we share this love together. And we're more than happy to support anybody who's thinking about doing it and bringing you on board and helping you create what you want to create, because this game has been so inclusive and so great to. I mean, we've talked about it so many times. This podcast developed because we all met each other playing this game and just wanted to talk about it. And you guys can do that too, and we'd be more than happy to help you.
Yeah, it's wild. A year ago, we were just really getting to know each other. It's so crazy to think about it, and where we are today. But like I said, we'll link that episode below, and I really encourage you to go watch it. If you're just listening to this, please go to YouTube, follow the Lore Keeper in. Katie has done great content there. And you get to see other videos she's done with the Lore Librarian and with Inkborn Heroes as well. Honestly, she's fantastic and she runs a great show. So I can't say anything greater about that experience. That I was finally able to make my audio work.
I love that the little back and forth you guys had. Like, this is technically Vince's second time here, but you didn't get to see him the first time because I kicked him off.
But yeah. Well, with that, we'll move on into the news. We did get, surprisingly, going into Thanksgiving weekend, a bunch of news. So we got news about the North American Continental details. So Andy, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't have the details in front of me, so you're gonna have to look them up yourself. But we did get basically the date. The format is very similar, I believe, to the European Continentals. One thing I do remember reading in there is that said is an all-day access pass.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get to be there. There's no hanging out in the parking lot. It's it sounds like it's going to be a great event. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make Continentals. They did also show the prizes, though. I was really considering skipping my sister's wedding to go to this and try and qualify to get some of these prizes. That Cusco in particular is so spicy. Such a nice art.
Cusco's Palace.
Yeah. But yeah, they announced all the prizing, the participation. The LCQ is really interesting. They said they have pods of 32 people. Did they say there were 32 pods of 32 people? And the winner of each pod goes in, and you're basically allowed to sign up for 2 pods.
Might be
one morning and one afternoon pod.
So it looks like
I didn't know you could for 2 though.
So I was just looking here. So the last chance qualifier, the Lumineers who have not yet qualified for the North American Championship will have another chance to qualify. There are 32 champion slots available for the LCQ.
32 pods.
And so the timing is 32 flights of 32 players will place simultaneously. So it looks like you don't get, but what ends up happening is you get an automatic entry into a post LCQ event if you don't, if you don't make it, right? So, and I imagine it looks like those LCQs are single elimination rounds.
Yeah, they are.
So you go in and it's just basically sudden death through. The structure of the main event is kind of interesting. So very similar to Europe, I think almost identical. 2-game format, 7 rounds of Swiss. Top 16 is on Sunday, which is best of 3 single elimination. And then the finals are best of 5, which I don't know if was delineated in the European.
It is. It is. It was. They're identical.
But they are identical.
Formats. There's a couple interesting parts of that. First off, best of 5. That could be literal 4+ hour match of Lorcana that we could be watching.
Day.
And I'm on board for it. I'm on board with it.
Well, it's kind of like the World Series for those that are baseball fans. I know Brad, you're a baseball fan.
Sure.
I know Andy is like sports ball. What's that?
Just not. I just like the fun ones.
Yeah.
but it's kind of like the World Series. It's like either it's going to be a 5-game series or it's going to be a 3-game series, and it's like you really want those 5-game series because those are the ones that are like hanging on it's like comes down to game 7 in the World Series.
And unlike those big sporting events too, this isn't one that they can milk out for more viewership and ratings. And not that they do, even though the speculation always is, they're always going to take it to 7, get more money, more ad revenue. Like this is just genuine back and forth Lorcana. But
I don't know. You talk about Andy. Andy thinks that he gets eyeballs on this. Like, come on, Disney, you're missing out. Ravensburger, sell those ads. Put this on streaming. Put those ad breaks in. But what I will say is
terrible. They need to get rid of the ads and do their own sponsored stuff. Right? That's what they really need.
I will say I really appreciate how PPG put this all together, all this information. And for those that are interested, tickets go on sale this Friday for the LCQ and for the attendees.
So there's a chance that if you're listening to this, they're already on sale. Pause this, go check, see if you can get your tickets still.
Yeah.
Sorry for the late reminder, and then come back. Enjoy the rest.
I don't remember. Did they say what time the tickets go on sale?
8 p.m.
Welcome back.
Pacific time.
Yeah.
Hope you got your tickets.
So hopefully you're listening to this when this podcast drops. You're anxiously awaiting on Friday. You'll have some time so you can put in your calendar. Because 8 p.m. Pacific should be what? That's 10 our time? 10 Central?
Yeah.
Time zones are weird.
11 p.m. Eastern time?
11 p.m.
Wow, it's a late night for those Eastern folks.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, Disney. No, I'm just kidding. Because
you're Eastern all weekend, aren't you? Yeah.
I'm tempted. Here's the thing. I was not gonna go, but now I'm tempted to go because man, the goodie bag for attendees and like the events they've got for attendees are sick. They're so cool, and it's like, can I justify? I just looked up the hotel prices because they've got and I was like, I don't know if I can make that work. And
it's like $100 cheaper than noise.
Yeah, so
I'm in the same boat on my ride to the TCS last night with Ron, both there and back, like we were just talking about, because he's going. I think our only representation for Rules of Villainy is going to be Ron playing in the last chance qualifiers. And like the opportunities there to join him, but I just don't know if I can swing it after 3 trips this year. And we have Disney coming up in February, and I got some life events that are happening and everything that it's like,
yeah.
But it seems like such a great opportunity for the first Continentals, and I really want to go.
I know. I don't know that I would do the last chance qualifier. I think I would just go as an attendee. Partly because like I don't think I'm gonna have enough time between then and the event to like try to put together a competitive deck. Mostly because I really want to focus a lot of time on doing well at set championships in January, because I really want the Scar mat and the Scar promo.
You and me both.
So listen, Brad, we can go to the top tables together. I will gladly give you the champion mat, and I just want the regular mat. So I'm fine with that.
I want both. I want a play set of both mats.
You want 4? You want to win 8? So you want to win one every day of the championship.
I'm going to win every one in St. Louis.
Do it.
Even the events that overlap, I'm gonna make it work.
He's gonna like leave one and go to the other one. Anything else you want to talk about with the Continentals?
Good luck to everybody.
Yeah.
It's going to be a last minute decision whether or not I'm going, but
yeah.
Good luck to Ron, especially our teammate Ron Reckless. He desperately wants it, and I'm so desperately rooting for him. Good luck to Justin, one of our locals, who's actually playing in the main event already qualified.
Yep.
Sounds like a great event. I I'm going to be sweating and trying to determine whether or not I can make it. But
Yeah,
it's not looking like
3 wins is all you need.
Also, yeah, definitely shout out to Justin and Ron for sure. And Justin, thankfully, was able. He messaged me and was like, "Hey, I've got one of the first chapter, like boxes from Target that is like,
Yeah.
if you want it, it's like it's like I've got one." I was like, "That's so nice. It's so nice to have folks out
He's
there
done really
that are
great
always
things
looking
this
at
past week.
that."
He even asked me last night. He had it for me to give to you, and I was like, "He's like, when are you going to see Vince again?" And I was like, "I don't know. it's rare that we see each other in person anymore, right?"
Yeah,
So he still has it. I didn't pick it up from him,
Yeah.
but he had it with him.
That's awesome. Yeah. I keep meaning to I've just been busy traveling, right, and driving. But yeah, so I'm gonna keep mine sealed. But you have opened yours, right? You both got them and opened them.
Yeah, I got
opened
one for
one.
you too, Vince. I just opened it already. It had if it's not Baroque, 6 of those, and it had it had a couple Cuscos. You did get one legendary. It was the green. It was Green Beast. So no good.
Yeah,
I had a double legendary pack. It was the Ursula, which was great. I even made it. I made an Instagram reel about it, and then it was Poor Unfortunate Souls, and it transitioned into the opening of Curb Your Enthusiasm because it's a foil Taka.
Well, the foil Taka is actually like $6 or something like that. It's actually,
I think that's
like,
too high.
Well, I imagine maybe the price will come down because it's one of the foils I don't have in my binder, and it's one of the ones that like cost a few extra dollars. I mean, a lot of the legendary foils do hold their value, at least for a few bucks more than the base price. Like almost all legendaries go for at least over $1. I don't think there's any legendary that's under $1. And I think all of the legendary foils usually hover around like at bare minimum $5 or so.
Okay. They're just that hard to find, right? So
it's so if you get it, but then you get foils like the Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, which is like I think like $85 right now or whatever. I was almost
at least
tempted to buy it because it came down just a little bit. With more first product coming out into the market and first chapters on the horizon in Japan, which I believe, Andy, you might have some coming to your door.
I'm hoping, fingers crossed. I placed an order.
I ordered from the same place, and I was like,
all right.
I didn't order anything.
I'm most excited to hopefully get the playmat. I ordered another Mickey playmat.
Oh, nice.
Because the one I have, I want to frame because it's signed by Ryan and Steve, and I don't want to play on it anymore, but I love that mat. So I was like, well, there's an opportunity to potentially get that mat, but I think you're going to try to complete your mat collection, Andy, with the Maleficent, right?
I think we're missing one of the other first chapter ones as well, but Kirsten really wants the Maleficent one. She passed on an opportunity to get one a while back when they were more expensive than a playmat should have been, and she was like, "What? No!" And now they're like hundreds of dollars or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, darn!" So I'm trying to get one. I think they're identical, so the Japanese version should be fine. But I did also order some booster boxes of Japanese first chapter because I think it'll be fun to add to the collection. Maybe get an enchanted or something. I do want to say I want to put on my tinfoil hat and then we could pause for a second to play the X-Files theme or whatever. The Lorcana Conspiracy. I believe these first chapter packs in the Target boxes, I think they're like the duds. I've seen people say they got enchanteds from them, but I'm not convinced that they're not just like plants by Ravensburger to make you think that they have Target and Ravensburger in this together. I think it goes all the way to the top, honestly. But all of those I opened. We got, I guess, like 4 of them. That makes 4 of them is like a booster box worth of cards. And we opened them up and it was like 2 legendaries or something like that. It was they felt like target packs through and through,
Yeah, it's probably, all blisters. Like I don't know. We'll get to it in Constituents Corner because we have a kind of a spicy question about it, but I feel like they're packaged differently than the booster boxes are. Like the individual packs, right? And I figured these are all just let alone the 2 from the starters and then the 4 individual ones would just be like random blisters, So yeah,
Well,
I don't disagree. I got a foil Lilo and a regular Lilo in the same pack and thought that was pretty cool. Mine wasn't terrible, but and we've seen people on the Discord with really good ones as well. So
yeah.
I mean, I feel like I have everything that I want in the first chapter. I mean, obviously, like I would love to get all of the Enchanteds at some point. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but the Tinkerbell is the main one that I really, really want.
I want the bell
the most. The bell would be kind of below that.
Yeah.
The others are like, I mean, they're not unreasonably priced for first chapter. Like I'm not eager, and it's not like I'm wealthy enough to have the money to go buy them all. But most of the first chapter Enchanteds, with the exceptions of the ones that I just like kind of listed that I don't have, right? Because obviously, like I'm lucky enough, I was fortunate enough to pull the Elsa.
He's got the Elsa. Yeah, we get it, Vince. We get it. Cool for you.
Listen. I've not pulled a single Enchanted in Azurite Sea. But
3.
Yeah, you jinxed yourself.
I know.
I'll give you my 3 Enchanteds for your Elsa.
I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate the offer, though.
Let me play it in my Blurple.
Listen, I would let you play any other Enchanted card I have, but not the Elsa.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it.
I don't even like it's in a sleeve inside a hard case inside like one of those wax paper packages.
Like how Andy used to play.
Yeah,
got it.
Basically, like it is like so protected.
Gotta get it graded, and then you gotta play an entire Blurple deck of graded cards.
But here's the thing, Andy. You make it a Japanese.
Yeah,
open to.
That'd be cool.
Awesome.
That'd be really cool.
That'd be awesome.
All right.
Tape it to his microphone for every episode.
Duct tape it straight to the microphone.
So the next thing that came out is this D23 promo card that's going to be in D23 kits starting January 1st. So first, before we get into it, I'm going to read the card out. So it's an Iago. It's a 4-cost inkable steel card. We don't know what the rarity is going to be in the set yet because it's just a D23 card, but 4-cost, 3/3 Iago Out of Reach, Storyborn Ally, Self-Preservation. While you have another exerted character in play, this character can't be challenged, and it exerts for 2 lore. Nice try, chumps. Too bad I'm all the way up here. And it's a set 8 card.
Yeah. Let's guess the rarity. What do you guys think it's going to be?
It's like a common or uncommon.
Oh. I think this is a rare.
I was going to say super rare. So we're all in different places.
I mean, some
of the super rare cards are like really mid, right? Like I saw this card. I'm like, yeah, that's probably, if it's considered for one of the promo cards. Like all the promo cards so far have been like rare plus, I think, with the exception of Ursula Deceiver in the D23 box. So I saw this and I was like, that's probably super
the D23 ones. Well, no, I mean original ones had like Captain Hook and the crappy Elsa.
You're right. I didn't go far enough back. Crappy Elsa.
The not good Elsa.
Except for those D23 promo cards are like,
well, yeah, they have the different symbol at the bottom, but
so Andy picked 2 of them.
Well, I feel like it's a common or uncommon because I mean, I guess it is a pretty powerful effect. It's essentially reverse bodyguard, right? It like makes every one of your other characters a bodyguard for this character only, essentially. Yeah. So I mean, I guess that is kind of strong, but it seems like a card you'd be playable and limited and so I would make me think it might be a
Sure.
common or uncommon. I mean, cards like was it the Pluto from this set?
He's uncommon.
He's like an uncommon, super strong card.
He's uncommon at the level of like I only have 3 of them and I've opened 3 boxes. You know, he's one of the rare uncommons.
Smee, uncommon.
So my question to you though is are both of you going to now become D23 members starting January 1st of 2025?
Probably. How much is it? I haven't even looked into a D23.
So they've got a few tiers. So they're tiering it out, but I think you only have to be at the lowest tier of $50 a year in order to do it. And
easy.
So easy.
Kristen was going to try and do it anyway. This just, $50 for a promo. Sure. That's fine.
Well, I wanted to do it anyway because in 2026 will be the next D23 event. And so, I think you have to be a D23 member to get tickets.
Ticketing. Okay.
To like even enter, I think the like lottery for it. I'm not 100% sure how it works. So if you do know, please type away and yell at me that I'm getting it wrong. Because that would help me out and probably help a bunch of people out. But mostly because I want to go in 2026. Because like I imagine there's going to be a ton of Lorcana news in 2026.
That's gonna be a crazy year because we're gonna have the Rules of Villainy trip to D23, and then we're also gonna have Rules of Villainy live from Tokyo Disney.
Oh, are we?
For Worlds 2026 , right?
Because that's the one we're going to be casting as the North American casters.
So I said
everybody
live from Tokyo Disney.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I thought there was an Indian.
And now back to you, Vince, and he's like going down Splash Mountain.
Not Splash Mountain anymore. Though.
Honestly, 100% would totally do that. I would absolutely love that. That's a great idea. That would be so entertaining and so fun.
Did they say when the new Villains Land was going to be constructed or turned into a Disneyland or Disney World? Because we have to go to that. Like,
I haven't seen it in my inbox.
For sure. Honestly, we should be at the ribbon cutting for that.
We should cut the ribbon.
Yeah, we should cut the ribbon. As the Rules of Villainy.
Yeah,
we should be there.
I thought the gag was that we were in on building it.
Yeah, that's right. Brad was supposed to be. We
haven't seen it in our inbox yet. That I'm not cutting any of this out. We'll just keep going with it.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Villains Land. Excited.
So
it's all subversion.
Yeah. So this is a set that set 8 will come out probably sometime in May, right? Aligning with what would have been Ursula's return this year. So with set 8 and this Iago card, there's been some discussion now that this kind of confirms that Jafar might be the big bad of the set. What do you think?
Might be. I want to go back and say that I think the next set would be more March, wouldn't it? Since this one came out in.
So I'm saying set 8. Set 8 will be in.
Will be in March or February.
7 will be in March. Yeah. So if I did say I meant 8, I don't.
No, you were right. I forgot there was a set.
There's also if you look at the card, the like foiling on it is kind of like sand, like in the wind kind of style.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So that kind of goes in line with the like tentacles that Ursula had on hers.
Yeah, I have no arguments. I mean, it's always been suspected that it, or not always, but most recently been suspected that it's Jafar. So,
should have been Hades.
But Andy and I have been on the train that it should be Hades.
It should be. They hinted at Hades, and maybe he's just plotting, even longer. There was even speculation that the Rules of Villainy, the order of those was going to be the big bads, right? Because Ursula was first.
We're the next big bad?
No. The actual card.
We're getting our own cards? Wow. Even before
I've actually
reveal,
already got my own card, by the way, so thank you very much.
That's true. we got close Vince right here.
Close Vince.
You both have them now. Yeah. I love it. It's great.
It's permanently fixture on my desk. But yeah, Jafar, it lines up. I've been saying I hope that they make another Illumineers quest. Somehow maybe update it in some way, like they did with Ursula's Illumineers quest, because that's a lot of fun. I popped it out again last week, and I got my butt kicked with my Blurple deck because it was just not equipped to deal with all those questing characters. But unless I throw in that new Peter Pan is green, which absolutely breaks Ursula's return or the Illumineers quest. But I think more games like that would be a lot of fun. I think if they bring the price down too, maybe take out the pre-constructed decks, which maybe they can't do because then you can't sell to people who don't have Lorcana cards. But I'm going off on a tangent.
I'll be honest though,
yeah.
I think my view on this is, and I mean maybe pushback is, I don't think if people are into Lorcana, they're gonna buy this, right? Like I think like it made sense for the first one to have pre-constructed decks along with it. Because you're trying to push it out, maybe have a standalone board game for folks that play and stuff, and maybe hopefully push folks to get out and play the game and stuff. But now we have the gateway product that can kind of introduce folks into the game. And so I think like the folks that are going to play this game this is just another alternative way to play the game, much in the same way like you can do sealed, you can do multiplayer. So I think actually I agree with you, Brad, that I would say just do the deck that the villain deck, and then have a few promo cards and price this very similar to say like the gift sets that are out there, like in the $40 range, maybe.
I guess it was $60 before, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the $40 gift set.
I mean, I think 30 is the butter price point right there. That's what I would like to see.
I like that the decks are in it. I mean, and I don't think it really costs them all too much, honestly, to include them in there, especially if they make them sort of more low-powered decks or just with cards that they know aren't going to be meta staples and things. But how cool would it be if, like, Hades can't continually get forgotten, right? So, like, maybe Hades tries and butts in when Jafar thinks it's his turn. He's like, whoa, what about me? And so it's like Hades / Jafar on the whatever you call it, Ursula's Return bad guy box set.
That's why I thought
Villain Glimmers, or what was the card? Glimmer versus Glimmer.
Glimmer versus Glimmer, yeah.
That's
why I brought up
right?
Yeah.
The rules of villainy aspect of it, because it starts with Ursula, and then we all thought it was going to be Hades, who doesn't have a rule of villainy yet. But then we found out this set that Scar has the second one, and it's very much in character for Scar to usurp, and take over. So I thought, if it's not Hades, then maybe they are going down the rules of villainy chain. We got the second rule of villainy. Scar is the next big bad. It just hasn't been fully revealed yet, but all signs point to Jafar. Besides the set championship that we're having right now, featuring Scar.
Yeah, although to be fair, Scar is do we have the third and fourth rules of villainy yet?
We have the first and second, and let's see what else we got.
I feel like I should know this more, and
we have the first and second. We don't have the third. The fourth is do whatever it takes to get ahead, which is the Queen of Hearts.
Okay.
You guys heard it here first. Queen of Hearts, next big bad.
I would suspect that the third would be somebody like Jafar or Hades. Because I don't know.
It is really interesting to me, though, that they are putting this card in the D23 kit for folks. And they're putting a set 8 card in there. So it's a really kind of an interesting, like, again, really just shows the collaboration that Ravensburger and Disney have together. Because, this isn't something Ravensburger could just do on its own. This is something that had a lot of collaboration with a lot of pieces in Disney to add into the D23 program. And so we kind of see, this, if anything, this gives me a lot of hope about like the longevity and support of the game that Disney has in its faith in it to include it in such a really popular program.
Yeah. It would have been a really cool idea. They have this new Disney movie that came out recently. It's called Moana 2. Imagine if they gave us a promo when we went and spent $1 billion at the movie theater. Oh wait, they did that everywhere but the US. I wish they, so like Vince says, I hope this is, looking for brighter seas, more azurite seas ahead, that we're going to start seeing better tie-ins and stuff.
So cue the music again, the conspiracy music. And I think we are going to get it. But I think we're going to get it when it comes on its Blu-ray release.
Blu-ray?
You think you're going to have to go buy
I think we're going to have to go buy
the Blu-ray
release.
Would agree with you. And maybe that's true. But like the physical, it's a whole tangent I'm not going to get entirely on, but the physical media, like it's not getting printed anymore, man. Everything's digital now. I mean, they still have them, but like it's not like it used to be. Like you go to Target, you go to Best Buy. I don't even know if Best Buy has movies anymore. They stopped doing CDs.
I think they stopped doing movies as well. I could be wrong about that. They stopped doing music.
Think about it though. Like everyone we know, probably everyone listening to this podcast is like, I don't even own a Blu-ray player, but I will buy that so that I can get the card. Because if I don't, the price on TCG player is going to be like, $2 more than the Blu-ray originally was. Like, I might as well just go get it and then see if, my niece wants a copy of Moana 2 on Blu-ray. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I may be like a dinosaur here, but I do have all the Pixar movies on physical media.
I used to.
I mean, yeah.
So,
I have them when that was the only option.
I have
a while.
I just don't love the idea of not owning physical media anymore. It's not my favorite thing in the world. Sound like I'm an old man over here. So we'll talk about the Lorcana Cross Continentals in our main segment, but I want to kick it over to Constituents Corner with the mayor. I'll kick it over to you, Brad.
Awesome. Yeah, we have a couple questions today. The first one's coming from John in our Discord. Lo, he wanted to have a little bit of fun today, and he asked, have boxes and cases... Okay, sorry. Would you rather have boxes and cases mapped, in quotes, as they are now, or would you have guaranteed 3 to 6 legendaries in a box? I messed this up, and I don't care if you cut it out or not. I'm so sorry. This is I did not practice this question, and he wrote it.
We're doing it live here.
We're doing it live.
Yeah, doing it live.
One take.
All right, here we go. Would you rather have boxes and cases mapped as they are now, where you get a guaranteed 3 to 6 legendaries a box and 1 enchanted a case, if you're so lucky, Vince? Or have boxes with complete random generation per pack. You could get 0 legendaries, or you could get like 15, or maybe multiple enchanteds in a box. Where do you guys lean on that question? Because I'm in a weird spot where it's essentially all we're doing is gambling when we're buying a box already, right? I feel like the second option is more bang, obviously more bang for your buck, right? High risk, high reward, which would be amazing. We've seen some misprinted or mispacked boxes, right, where people were getting like legendaries in every pack, which isn't supposed to be the case. But I feel like the consistency of 3 to 6, sometimes 7 if you're lucky. I've seen 7 in a box, makes it worth it. Even
7 legendaries in a box.
I've had one like that.
4 legendaries per box.
Well, plus foils. You got to think about the opportunity to get foil legendaries.
Right.
As well. So you could get up to.
I think if you did completely random, you would have even more of a problem, or you'd have to have more concern for like tampering with and things like that. Right. So right now, I know that if I go to like a store and just buy like 4 or 5 boxes in a row off the stack or whatever, that I'm most likely going to get a certain number there. But even as time goes on and stuff, when you order a box and things like that, you expect these certain averages. If they're wildly all over the place, then that means a box that is tampered with to make it seem really bad could just be really unlucky. So I do like the somewhat consistent pull rates. And I actually think that, at least in my experience, the pull rates have gotten more consistent over time with each set. I think we've seen less of the wonky packs. Everyone except Vince, has gotten one enchanted per case. Like, it's nice and consistent. I remember with like the puppies, it said, was it 3 or 4? I was seeing like exactly the same amount of puppies in every box that I would open up. And now I've got like these trays where I sort all my cards as I open like, a box, and they're like in order a lot of the time. So I feel like we're getting to a more consistent point, and I think overall that's probably better.
I just gotta say that, like, man, if you're gonna allow 99 copies of a card in a game, why are you only giving us 4 of those cards per box, man?
It was 2.
A
It was
common,
2 per box.
a common.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
Uncommon? That's common.
It's a common.
It's a common card. It's a common card.
And there's 5 variants, but you're getting 2 per box, 3 if you're lucky with a foil.
I went and looked at my my box pulls I started doing in Inklands. I've had 2 boxes with 3 legendaries, one in Inklands and one in Ursula's Return, and I've had one in Shimmering Skies that had 7 legendaries, but the rest were usually 4 to 6. 4 to 5 is, I guess, would be the average. There was one that had 6, so it does feel bad. Like when you get as little as 3 legendaries in a box, it's just a dud, right?
Or no enchanted in a case. What? Sorry.
But yeah, look, I'll just say that that's not that. I'm with you all. I think, like, I would much rather have consistency than to have like total, like what is being proposed in that second option is just utter chaos. It's like, because like, ultimately, like, the thing is like, I'm still probably going to try to buy a case every set until, I decide maybe that isn't worth it, but I still like opening packs. But like, I don't know that it's like, I'm pretty much guaranteed at least 1 copy of every card in a case. And I did get that this time. Most of the times in the past sets, I've been missing like maybe 1 legendary or like 1 super rare. There's always like 1 super rare that like just I can't pull for some reason. Yep. But for the most part, I'm able to like 99% complete a set. And this one, I didn't get it enchanted, but I was able to complete my binder set of cards. And so, it's nice to be able to do that. And I think the only way you're able to do that is through consistency. And I think if you went to this kind of like jackpot, maybe I'd get like 10 of the same legendary, but like, honestly, like what I can only play 1 deck at a time.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's actually not great for me either, because I want to still get the other cards. And sure, I could trade for those other cards or sell to make my value, but that's like, it's a lot of work.
I do think that technically we kind of have the best. We have both, right? Like both of those exist right now, in that you can go to your local game store and buy a sealed case. A lot of the good stores out there will sell you a sealed case if they still have them. Or even just a box if you're looking for 4 to 6 legendaries or whatever. Or you could go somewhere like Target, which has just 500 blisters on the wall, and you just take a bunch of random ones out of there. That's essentially a similar sort of chaos mode where everything's shuffled together. I do think it would be really cool, 1, if they continued their consistency on these things, and 2, if they like published in some way these sort of pull rates, to say like booster boxes, and then they could have like variables to it. So like, it's 1 in, everyone says it's 1 in 96 packs, which is 1 in 4 boxes, or 1 in a case for an enchanted. But that changes. Is that the same as if you buy like a bunch of troves, to equal 96 packs, 8 packs at a time through troves?
Yeah.
And so they could say things like troves have X percentage chance of an enchanted in the 8 packs, boxes have this percentage. cases have this percentage.
So I want to come back to that point, but Brad, do you have any things you want to add?
No, I'm interested in hearing what you're saying, because we're probably going to say the same thing about the percentages. Some places you have to, some countries you have to broadcast that, right?
Well, I think the thing is I think they won't do it though, because it crosses into then actually being a gambling product, and I think that's why they don't publish the odds. Because if you ever do a lottery, they do have to tell you the odds, because it is a true gambling mechanic, and this is not gambling. I'm not a lawyer. I also don't know the laws about this. But I think if they did do that, they would then probably be subject, because I don't know that there's a card game in existence that actually does this. I could be wrong again. Like,
I serialized cards.
The show at the top of my, at the top that this is my first TCG. But I think for randomized cards and packs, my understanding is that no TCG company publishes those. That doesn't mean they don't know. Obviously, they have them, and that people haven't come up with them. But I just don't think it's something that Ravensburger or Disney is inclined to say, like, "Hey, this is what the odds are." You buy.
I guess I was gonna say serialized cards exist, so we know that certain cards in certain card games, there's only 500 of them that exist, or one, right? A 1 of 1 card, like the one Post Malone bought for $20 billion or whatever. I guess since we don't know the other side of that equation, which is how many total were printed, then it doesn't actually give us the odds of opening one. Yeah. Fair.
I also think in some cases, though, when card games do that, they actually have to publish the sweepstakes rules for that particular entry. So it's like you might see if a sports card game is there's this card that you can get, they'll publish the sweepstakes for that, because you're buying an entry in the pack and stuff. There's a lot of rules that go into that and stuff. Like I said, I don't 100% know. So if there is a TCG card game out there that publishes its actual results, I'd love to know. I'd love to see how that's done. But from my understanding, I don't think Pokemon does it. I'm pretty sure Magic doesn't do it.
The digital ones do.
Do they?
The new Pokemon digital one has it tells you all the percentages of getting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, all the stuff. And I think that's for the reason Brad said, and that there's a lot of countries out there that if they even come close to having a gambling mechanic like this, they force you to tell the people the odds, just like So I guess for a digital one, maybe it's a different line than it is, But that's a good point, though, that the gambling, not gambling line is being towed.
Yeah. I would be interested, though. I mean, I think there was some data earlier on. I haven't seen it since, but I imagine, the sleeved cards come in a case of X amount. I want to say it's 96 maybe, or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but I think somebody has bought them, as a sealed case of and done the math on them and stuff. So I imagine they have a very similar kind of,
pull rate
variability that you would if you bought a case. I don't know. I think you'd have to figure out okay, how are troves packed and how many come in a case, and are those coming off the same kind of production of you would expect in if you got a case of 8 troves and stuff. I don't know how many come in a case, and gift sets too. Who knows? That when you think about the mechanics of shipping and packaging the gift sets, now they have this binder, which by the way was way bigger than I thought it was going to be when it fell out. I was expecting one of those small ones from the beginning, and it was a full-size binder. It's oh, this is actually pretty nice. But so you think about okay, that gets packaged with a binder and packed, so how is that being distributed and stuff I think there's some logistic stuff that go in there. But to answer John's question here, I like it the way it is.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
I think I would prefer it the way I would love who wouldn't love a big payoff box, but
right.
I think it as we all said, it opens the door to just even more purchasing and it gets icky. Like I have a limit of how much I'll buy, but yeah. So moving on from, thank you for the question, John. Moving on to Martin Karp, also from our Discord. He asked, what attraction or something in the park do you want to see in Lorcana? Either a ride, a location, a food item. It's kind of piggybacking off of our question last week where we talked about what do you like to do at Disney World. I'll start with you, Vince.
Man, actually, I want to start with you, Brad. Like, I'm going to kick it right back to you because I think you probably have a solid answer here.
And now back to you, Brad.
I have a couple. The first one I thought of was obvious. What everybody thought was going to be like the first location in the game. I think Cinderella Castle would be some kind of the way they treat Cinderella in the game as an upcost singer. I felt like we do have the Atlantica location that makes singing a lot cheaper, but I felt like Cinderella Castle could be a place to go. Super expensive to move there, but then you could sing, any character could sing any song or any song for free, something like that. Which would be insane. Insane. But like you have to balance it with the cost of. Okay, let's not talk about what it would do.
Okay, turn one, Nala. Turn two, we put it at the Speedway. Then we damage it to move it over, and then it can sing. Be prepared on turn 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly the scenario, card for card, what I thought of when I just made this up 5 minutes ago. But the one that I thought about when the question came in last week or over the weekend was I thought it'd be fun to have a tiki room location. You guys ever done the tiki room? Tiki.
I haven't. It's been so long, like I said last week, that I've been to Disney, which is honestly kind of why I was tinkering with the idea of going to Continentals, right? Because I've actually never been to Disneyland. I probably won't do it. We'll see. But I was like, ooh,
yeah,
maybe. So okay, I'm gonna cheat a little bit on my answer here and say, so it's not. I do have a park answer, but I'm gonna give the other answer that's not in the park but still Disney related, which is I would really love to see the Disney Vault in the game. Do you remember when you would watch the old Disney movies and stuff, and it'd be like, get Pocahontas before it goes into the Disney Vault forever. It's like
newly remastered.
Yeah.
It's digital surround.
Like the Diamond Collection.
Yeah.
Only 12 easy payments of $9.99.
And I just think that's such like a nostalgic card, like a theme. Sure. I just think it would be really funny.
What would it do?
It's a really good question. What would it do is I think when you play it, you get to name a Disney property that cannot be played.
It's like a whole franchise.
That's a lot better than what I was gonna say.
Not allowed to be played an entire franchise.
Yeah. While this card is in play,
are you playing Red Blue?
Moana name
out. My idea when you said that was
cannot be played.
It would, a new mechanic was like if you play the vault, you can move an opponent's character to it, and they can't do anything with that character until they destroy the vault,
exile,
or something like that.
Ooh, I like that too. I think both of these are good. Actually, mine is probably like too powerful, especially if you're playing a theme deck.
Sure.
Yeah, part of the problem is the remembering that. I think that's. We don't have any. We have cards that name a character, right? But we don't have any that say like. Yeah, it's. I guess we do now that I'm thinking about it. We have ones that say like Peter Pan can't do this. Character named Peter Pan can't do that. But
but we don't have any that say what this card is from. So that'd be a hard mechanic to do. I think actually Brad's answer is probably a better way to go with how the cards are printed.
Yeah.
Should this be a bit on our show, like developing cards? I know Lorcana Duo Smorcana does things like this, cards that they wish were real. But that was fun. You mentioned the vault, and I'm like, what could we do with the vault? Oh, that's really cool. I just theorized for a little while on these things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My other card would be for the park. Would be Futureland, and it would be basically name a card. When you play, like at the start of your turn, name a card, and it flip over the top card of your deck, and if it's that card, you may play it for free.
Ooh, pair that with Merlin's Cottage. Let's go.
Yeah. So
Merlin's Cottage, nice. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really hard to like see a lot of this stuff in the Lorcana world because like is it like Cinderella's Castle makes sense. That's a thing that exists in Disney that was brought to the park.
Sure.
And also can be brought to Lorcana. But like originally I thought of like Tower of Terror. That'd be really cool as like a location. And again, I like Brad's idea that it could be a location that you could put your opponents into. That would be like a new mechanic that wouldn't be too difficult, but
Brad's jumping in his seat.
I know, because every turn that character is at the Tower of Terror, they lose a willpower or something.
Yeah,
because
something
they're
like
going down the tower.
I like that.
On,
I like that. That's so great. This is so great. I think we may have just birthed a whole new segment here. So thank you.
I think we birthed a segment that's going to be locked behind a paywall. Ravensburger needs to, pay us for...
or join our non-existent Patreon for X dollars a month. X being where Andy will enter voiceover price.
This is so exciting to me.
But yeah. All right. Yeah,
Tower of Terror, or I think the Mickey Mouse like pretzel, the Mickey Mouse pretzel.
Oh yeah,
would be a good item as well.
I'm surprised you didn't do. What's the favorite food you have? And
the egg rolls. They're not as iconic though. I think they're a little more.
Not yet.
Niche.
Yeah, not yet. Right. Yeah, they're like an up and comer. That's like check out this place in Brooklyn. Like it's hip. But no,
I just wonder if you really want to be talking about these egg rolls so much, because now you're gonna go and it's just gonna be a huge line. Let's be like, this dude Andy said they were great and they're phenomenal. And like dude. You're like, I'm Andy. I want to get my egg rolls, man.
Before we move on, I need to know what that pretzel would do. You have any ideas? The exert banish for what?
It would be an item. You play it and you draw a card when you played it. And then, so it would just be a different popsicle. It would be
a salty popsicle.
Yeah, salty popsicle. I think, let's say when you can pay one and banish it to ink another card.
Okay.
One cost, cantrip, draw a card when you play it, and then pay one, banish it. You may ink an additional card this turn.
And its flavor text is too salty.
Yeah, too salty.
Does it have a companion card that if a cup of cheese, you can play this card for free if you have a pretzel in play?
Yeah. Nacho cheese.
Cheese dip.
Oh, it'll pair well with what's it from the Goofy movie? It's nacho cheese, man. And he's got the like can of cheese or whatever, and the card arts will be like lined up that it's going on to the pretzel.
Yeah, I love it.
Same.
Thank you to John and Martin for the questions.
Yeah, and as always,
if you're hiring, let us know. Well, all three of us a package deal.
Yeah, package deal. Rules of Villainy. And thank you again, for those questions. And if you have some questions for the villains, please make sure to write us down below in the comment section on YouTube, or if you're an audio listener, join us at our Discord and you can write us in the Constituents Corner. All right. Well, our main segment is about the Lorcana Cross-Continental Challenge. This is a mouthful, the LCCC, that just finished up, right? A few days ago?
A few rounds. You're muted, but
it's still going.
Yeah. Oh, it's still going? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're done round 2 now, I think.
Was the entirety done with
round rounds of Swiss and a top cut to 4 players, which is that I assume, single elimination.
Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay. I was a little confused about the structure of the
Same.
events. But that makes sense though, because like they're trying to figure out time zones and like then casting, like that's a logistical kind of nightmare really to do. And I think they're doing a really great job of it. I think actually it's really clever is how the players can only see like a certain portion of the other person's screen, so we can see what's in their hand.
Yeah.
That's a part of the Pixelborn Connect software that Pavel created. That's like baked into that. Even, if you or I were to just play webcam games with someone, I think it's largely there so that you can hide, your hand. You don't accidentally like show your hand. But it also works really well. I've seen with streamers and stuff where they can do exactly essentially what we see when we watch these LCCC events, where they just lay their deck or their hand out face up on the board, and we get a really unique opportunity for the casters to sort of analyze what's going on and talk about some interesting lines. And it's been a lot of fun. And not only you'd think that we see their hand, they're thinking about it, the casters are talking about all these different things. It's two heads are better than one, they're talking about, and then we've seen these players, these top tier players, do things that just like everyone is shocked and jaw dropped. It's been some insane matches. I wanted to say all of them went to game 3, but I think we did have 1 or 2 that were over in 2, unfortunately. Yeah. But man, it's been a lot of fun watching these.
We got some all-timers, man.
So I was looking at these deck lists, and I wanted to kick it over to you, Brad, to ask like what decks really stand out to you that you've seen.
So far, it's been Karsten's Amber Steel. It's so unique in the way that he has so many one-ofs that I wouldn't ever imagine doing, but I wouldn't dare question Frank Karsten's deck building ability at all, right? I look at these and I'm like, a one of Simba, a one of Lawrence, one of Prince Naveen. He was a staple in Shimmering Skies of Steel Song and getting those songs out there. But we saw was it game 1 of him and DeCandio, where his last play of the game was playing a 3 Lilos from his discard, which is a card that I desperately want to play. I just haven't built anything Amber yet to do it. But he brought in, I think, 2 or 3 Lilos from his discard before the beginning of the turn, and then he contemplated, doing all the mathematics and stuff that he does in his head. Played a 1-cost Simba or a 2-cost Protective Cub Bodyguard, to come out so that he could shift the new Floodborn Simba and be exerted to ready up all those Lilos and seal him the game. Like there's nothing DeCandio could do to deal with that board at that point, because at that point everything would have been exerted, and I think he had enough on his board to eliminate a lot of it. But he's like, no, I'm going to do this and this. It was just it hadn't been seen before, but it made perfect sense after it happened, and nobody saw it coming either. I don't know if anybody realized he had enough ink to do it or what, but everybody lost their mind when it happened. What did you think about it, Andy? I'm still in awe of it.
Just before we get into that, I just want to say there is one card in this game, this deck that he put in, and I think Andy probably knows which one I'm talking about.
We all do, because it won in round 1.
That is one of these cards that I've just been saying might be a big deal.
Gantu
in Azurite Sea.
All hail. All hail.
Yeah. He does have a 1 of Gantu.
Yeah.
1 of Pluto, 1 of Pete, 1 of Piglet, which, depending on if you're Zach Bivens or not, is a really good card or is not as good as Smee. But, a lot of those cards are, very impactful cards. You don't have to you don't have to sell someone on how good a Pete is, right? You don't need being sold on how good Piglet can be. maybe you didn't understand the shift Simba combo, but there's only one of those small Simbas for that bodyguard combo. So I think he talked about it in the interview afterwards. It is a very interesting concept. We've seen other players, like I think Earl Meister, who's also in the LCCC, do it in some of his other decks, where essentially, all of the cards have similar value to them inherently, regardless of the matchup and the time that they're drawn or whatever. They're all decent cards, but it's you're giving yourself the opportunity to have this multi-tool of different options, and if you find it at the right time, it can be a huge payoff. If you don't find it, ideally you're still fine, right? The core of your deck is still okay. It's just, instead of teching heavily for the one matchup that maybe you're bad in, you kind of just spread it out. It's not my usual gameplay, being a long-time Ruby Amethyst player. I like the consistency. I would love to be, 15x4, but it is a really spicy list, and I want to play it and try it out for sure.
I'm also just saying that I'm still here given resist 2.
I was gonna point that out. I bet you love that card.
I'm like, yes, baby, resistance. I would
almost guarantee it's in for the draw, but that resist, it helps in situations that you need it. So
no, for sure, it's a great draw card. But also gives you the ability to make favorable trades, right? If you need to in those situations. I mean, especially, if you couple that with like the Cinderella Stoutheart, like good luck. That card basically just survives.
Already
definitely, yeah. It already does, but like ain't taking no damage.
It's only got one of. It's wild to me. I can't imagine running so many one-ofs, but he makes it work. And like, who am I to question Frank Karsten?
Yeah, but I think Andy really touched on it, which is that like, I don't think you should think of some of these cards as one-ofs, but rather as like a collection of options that are going to be effective at any time and stuff. So it's like, obviously like the Cinderella, I think is definitely a one-of, but really you've got, what?
It's an easier one of though, because
right.
That big character that you get Cinderella down on turn 5, and it's like, all right, scoop.
yeah. Next game. So I think you look at like Pluto and Prince Naveen as like even that Rapunzel more as kind of like all cards you can likely play and are gonna advance like none of those cards are cards you're gonna be disappointed, right? That you drew in any match, right?
Yeah, I think Naveen is an extra aerial essentially.
Yeah.
And I think the cards like Piglet, Lawrence, Pete, Pluto, Gantu are all just like good cards, right? They fit in the curve slots that he wanted to fill, and they're just good cards on their own. We're also, it's been, I think we've said it even, but they say it a bunch, casting and stuff. The deck lists for this event were due a day after the set came out. So very little testing was able to be done, and we've seen a lot of people who are using this event as a little bit of testing, for upcoming Continentals and things like that. Din said he had 61 cards, and one of them was the Mufasa just for fun. And he was testing that out a little bit. I'm pretty sure that there's some aspect of, Frank's deck here that is being tested out. At the end of this, he might say, okay, well, I'd rather add a couple extra Gantus and less of everything else because all hail.
I think that's the right point. Because you look at Din's deck, the only new card in his deck, I think, is the Sail the Azurite Sea. Whereas,
Gantu,
what's up?
No Gantu, so it's not.
Well, yeah. Because unfortunately, all hail. He is not in the Sapphire yet. But whereas Frank has a lot more Azurite Sea cards, and I think, like you said, Andy, a lot of this is about testing and stuff. What I think I would say to folks though is like, if you are, this is the one time, where I think I'd be much more cautious to recommend to folks to like look at this and then net deck, and stuff. For sure, put these together, play with them and stuff. But I agree with Andy. Like, I mean, a lot of these players, you'll see they're playing with proxies. Like, I think Moyen's deck was like
90%
proxies.
Yeah,
I was like, what is that card?
Well, and he unfortunately did not have the pleasure of having them hand drawn like some of the other players, like Sailor and stuff. So all of his were like the official like printed like playtest cards where it just says like genie. Playful trickster, like it's just like Times New Roman, black on white, like
so I think there's some development going on here, like a lot of development.
Yeah,
but Frank has a bunch of, I think, new cards in the set. The most interesting deck for me is the Artifacts, the Emerald Amethyst deck, which like, I mean, we all know my opinion on Emerald. Like, I don't, but this is a really just, I think, interesting deck that I gotta say, I really love the Go-Go. I'm a big fan of that card. Yeah, he is
hard.
I think we talked about it last week, right? Where they swung a goat into a Pluto. The goat died or was banished, and then he go-go'd the Pluto for 4 lore. So it was like big value.
I'm just saying, Go-Go has not yet been the villain of the week, but buddy, your time is coming. Okay,
she's on the list.
Yeah,
I got a short list of cards, and one we're going to get to here really shortly. We'll tease it here probably in the deck I think Andy wants to talk about. What I think is the spiciest deck is Teo Times Sapphire Amber aggro deck. It was something I toyed around with, I think, between Ursula's Return and Shimmering Skies with the Annas and just the aggro line that has. But he's got a lot of spicy stuff in here that was fun to watch, and I think Andy actually built it and had some fun testing with Kirsten. How'd that go?
Pretty good. I went 3-0. I won most of the games I played in testing, and I did a like a LGS, like a 3-round whatever on Saturday. I went 3-0 there. The deck is really spicy. I say this, it is not an aggro deck. It's a combo deck. Okay, it's a combo deck. All right. There's a difference.
All right. Well, you said it. For those folks that are new to TCGs, what does that mean? What's the difference between an aggro deck and a combo deck?
Really, I'm mostly kind of joking, but an aggro deck is, as it relates to Lorcana, is essentially a deck that just goes for trying to get to 20 lore as fast as possible. You typically play a card, quest with the card, play more cards, quest with all of them. A combo deck is generally looking to sort of nail a specific set of interactions to happen, and generally you win like right away. The Tamatoa Dime could be considered a combo deck, if you will.
The Beast OTK.
The Beast OTK, yeah, that one. The Jafar Wheel is very much sort of a combo deck where Jafar plus Whole New World equals big lore all of a sudden. If they get that combo off, that's their sort of explosive moment. But this deck basically utilizes the thing Vince hates the most about Lorcana, which is Ward. And so, as Theo Time said in his interview, he expected a very heavy steel meta.
Delete it.
So, on turn 1, I realized the only good warded character, or the only ward character on turn 1 is the Cloud Kicker, the blue 0/1. Yeah. I don't think it's consideration, but really you put down a 0/4 or 1/4. You put down your Daisy, your Nala, or your location, and then you just put down warded character after warded character after warded character. You got Duke of Weaselton on 2. You've got Wendy or Alice. The new Alice is pretty spicy, very villainous, if you will. And then I included in there, I don't think it's in Theo Time's list, but a lot of people were talking about it, the Belle of the Ball character, which gives everyone ward for a turn. You've got just good value questers like the Scrooge McDuck, 4 cost, 5/5, 2 lore. And the real sort of nuts combo is you put all these warded characters down. They can't interact with them. They can do whatever they want. And then you play Big Kita, which blanks out everyone's attack or strength. And then you quest. And you've got a 2-drop, a 3-drop, a 4-drop. You got your Big Kita out there. So you're questing for about 10-ish. 12-ish usually. Sometimes typically you've quested with your 1-drop a couple times. And so you're at like 12 lore. They can't attack you at all. You're ready to roll up the next turn, and you do it again, and you get to 20. So it's this one combo of putting out warded characters, frustrating your opponent. I do think it has some downsides. Big Sisu being a huge one.
Yeah.
It just absolutely destroys the deck. And then I have found that aggro, this set especially, the meta I feel is becoming very fast. Lots of lower to the ground decks. That Emerald Amethyst deck from Artifacts that Vince is talking about, and even other versions of it. Actually, the Frank Karsten Steel Song is much more traditional Steel Song, even though it has faster cards like Lilo and that Simba. You talk about DeCandio he played against. His version was much faster. It did not have a whole new world. I don't think it had anything above 4 cost in it. We've seen, I think there's someone else playing Steel Song in the LCCC that is
Bivens.
also, Bivens, again, very fast version. This sort of combo deck, if you will, it has no fight and it can't afford to quest and lose its very weak warded characters. So the faster decks, if you just sort of ignore it and go faster, you can potentially win because they can't afford to quest every single turn. They can only afford to quest those 2 turns during their combo. So that is kind of a downside to it. Draw package is a little weak. I don't know how long I'll continue to play it, but it's definitely spicy and really fun.
I heard Kirsten hates it.
Yeah, very frustrating to play against.
For sure, but it's always good practice, and this is why she kicks our butts when we're in the DLCs. But yeah, anything else you guys want to talk about from the LCC?
I said my piece.
All of the list. They're all so awesome.
they are really good. Zan's put on a good Zan's only addition to his Emerald Steel is one of Pluto from the new set. That's it. Yeah. And he's still doing work.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I imagine like for a while until we get into whatever Lorcana decides to do, whether it's rotation or ban list. And like, I'm just going to be honest with folks out there, brace yourself. One or the other is coming. And I'm pretty sure it's probably rotation if I had to put my money on it. Long time. I think till then, which I think is gonna, it's gonna be a while. You've got time. Don't panic. But until those happen, we're gonna see a lot of like additions and subtractions of existing decks. So it's not gonna be these massive changes to existing decks. What is more likely, I think, to happen is decks that were not popular will get better, like this Sapphire Amber deck. It's a deck we haven't really seen. It comes into play. I think things like the Baja Blast deck I don't know that that's going to totally make it this set, but I think those are the types of things you're going to see is color combinations that were not very popular. But instead of the existing decks, you'll see with like Steel Emerald, you'll see some tech cards made. Ruby Amethyst, you'll see some, additions and subtractions made. And you're going to see that kind of along the line. The big exception to this rule, I think, is Steel Song. Actually, I think there are some really creative, large differences that you can make in Steel Song and potentially in Ruby Sapphire as well. Actually, I think there's some unique things you can do in those decks, but definitely in Steel Song, like I don't know that there's some really core cards to that, but I think like we've seen it here. Some wheel decks, non-wheel decks, some more heavy, true song decks, less song, more aggro in the faster sense of things. And I think that is another line we're going to see going forward is that we're going to have certain different branches of different decks that are going to have different kind of flavor profiles, if you will, in there. But yeah. Anything either of you want to add to this? But I think this segue is really nice into our villain of the week.
Well, it does. I want to continue along with our journey a little bit, though. I know, Vince, you didn't get a chance to play any this past week due to your travels, but I said already I played the Amber Sapphire, went 3-0. That worked out kind of nicely. I played Amethyst Steel a little bit in testing and did not as well.
How'd that go?
Yeah, Brad beat me. I went 2-1.
Clip that.
Yeah, clip it. But what did you played a couple times since we last talked, Brad? What did you play and how did that go? Are you gonna play anything new? What do you want to try out? I think I want to try one of these Steel Songs, but like Vince said, there's
so many
variations. Do I go aggro? Do I go mid range? Do I go somewhere in the middle? I'll just build like 3 different versions and we'll see.
Yeah, I want to play Lily Fossa. That's Lily. It was built by Humble for Daniel at Lorcana Fanatics, his daughter. I think that deck looks like a lot of fun. Humble was actually just from Labyrinth was just talking on Twitter yesterday about how he all his testing has been very, very good with it. So always a fan of Mufasa's. Everybody on this who listens to this podcast, as both of you guys know. So interested in trying that out, but I'm still running on Blurple. I've upgraded that quite a bit with the new set and having moderate success with it. I fumbled last night at the collector store the last couple games, but it's just relearning the lines. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly to do on turn 2, if it's more beneficial to sail the Azurite Sea or Tipo still, and like it depends, I guess, if I have another 1-drop, like just I don't know. I'm still figuring. So
you add it in that deck. You've added Sail, and I assume the Genie as well.
Genie's in. I have 3 of Genie because I don't have 4 of them, so I'm running a single rabbit in replace of that. But it would be 4 Genies. I added 2 Wasabis for the evasive package on 4, and he can eliminate items at enter at the cost of giving them a lore to do it. But I'm strongly considering taking him back out to put in Hideaway or something, because if I have to eliminate anything, it's a dime, and I don't want that to come back with Tamatoa, right? So
yeah.
But his 3 strength on evasive is good for the Genie, for the Tinkerbells that are popping up in a lot of Amethyst decks right now, or at least the ones I've played. But one-shotting that Tinkerbell is nice. Alice, the new Alice, is quite villainous and has done work, which we may or may not be talking about here in just a second. And Sail, Sail is the other big one. I think there's a couple others that I added for Spice, but I can't think off the top of my head. But yeah, the same amount of success I had with Whirlpool before. I feel like I could have done better last night, but I don't want to hound on it. I extremely misfired on my second game with Mark from our Discord, where I got to the end of the game. He was putting the pressure on. He was showing when. I knew a Robin Hood shift package was coming, and I brought a Fox out and just forgot to rush with it. I think I was doing some other combo, and
oh no.
Then of course after I played my turn, after deliberating for so long, he's like, "Why didn't you rush with the Fox?" Because I realized, I was like, "If you have Goat, you win." He's like, "I don't have Goat, but I have Shift, and that wins the game." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Why didn't you rush with the Fox?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I was panicking over time. I just went into decision paralysis." And it's where I thought to myself today, as we were approaching the podcast, is like, I want to remind everybody to take a breath and think about every option that you have, because I went into panic mode and for whatever reason lost myself, and I think I could have won that game, but it's just one of those things to learn from.
Listen, it happens. It's like thinking that Maui has evasive. He doesn't. Turns out. Well, the new one does, but I'm talking about the first chapter. Which, by the way, it's interesting that was a card I really thought was gonna like really kind of break out. And granted, it's still early, but it seems like I've been reading in folks with testing that it hasn't been nearly as effective.
The half shark
card. Yeah, the shark.
Oh, it's been really nice.
Let me tell you something, Vince.
We're gonna have a
big conversation next week, because he was going to be the villain of the week this week until I changed it. Because
spoiler alert, apologies to Maui Half Shark.
I'm sorry. Maybe he won't be, but there is some conversations to be had about that half shark, because the last 3 days of playing it has been brutal to me. Playing against it has been brutal.
I'm pretty sure longtime friend of the podcast, John, and longtime Ruby Sapphire player, said he wasn't half shark anymore. He was all shark. His Ruby Sapphire's gone all half shark, full half shark. And that it's
60 of them. He's just forget the rules. 60 half sharks.
He wrote Ravensburger
half shark after half shark.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the original lists were running like 1 or 2, like, oh, this is a valuable card or whatever. And I don't know that he's running like 4 now necessarily, but I think a lot of people are realizing how much value the half shark gets, and they're starting to lean into it with more actions.
Some people.
All right, listen. I'm interested to see. I haven't decided. I'm likely when I come on Monday for League, is that I will probably just adjust the deck I currently have, versus trying to build a deck from scratch, because I don't think I'll have a ton of time to do that. But so we'll see. So obviously I have my Ruby Amethyst deck, because big surprise with a pot with our mascot Ruby.
That's the deck to do it.
Ruby Amethyst these days is completely different. Just throw out all your control cards, throw out half your other cards, and just like
put in
a bunch of instant lore gain.
But hey, let's not give away all the shark secrets yet, because I think we're going to be talking a lot about them soon.
Well, let's move on to Villain of the Week. Apologies to Gontu. Alice Savvy Sailor, as teased by Andy here, is our current Villain of the Week. This is a set 6 card from Azurite Sea, Dreamborn Hero, Sapphire, super rare, 3 cost uninkable, 1 strength, 4 willpower, and quests for 2 lore. It has my least favorite mechanic, Ward. And its ability is ahoy! Whenever this character quests, another chosen character of yours gains 1 lore and gains ward until the start of your next turn. And the art is by Dustin Ponzano. So what do you guys think? I'll start with you, Brad.
She is fantastic. My favorite moment with her so far has been Thursday night at Bodex against Andy, where like Kirsten actually inspired me to change it to this card because of how she hates it so much and how effective it's been for me. I was like, oh yeah, I can tell this story at Bodex, where nothing was sweeter than playing 2 Alices on 5, and then on 6, shifting my already dry Elsa into the big Elsa to freeze Andy's board, tag her twice with both Alices, and quest for 9. And complete lore swing where he was so far ahead I couldn't get the beginning of my game going, but then I drew into this, and Alice, she wards the character that she tags. She's I'm stumbling my words now, I'm sorry. But she wards the character, she gives him +1 lore, and she's what Ward should be. What we've talked about for so long is that you have to exert her to get those effects, right? So she is a staple in Blurple for sure. I don't know if any other deck besides, I guess, the Sapphire aggro or control deck. Sorry, Andy.
Combo deck.
Combo deck. Sorry, I used the wrong CO word. No, but Yeah, she's absolutely fantastic. I was sitting next to Rujos, another local content creator here last night. I was actually at table 1. I was feeling good when I was playing Mark. And he looked over at my hand. He goes, "That's a real good card." And I was like, "That's a villainous card, if you know what I mean." you know, like, yeah, she's just absolutely fantastic. And I love it. It's the direction that we're going with Ward and the complaints we've had about Ward where yeah, you have to turn her sideways to get some kind of benefit from it. And yeah, she's going to be a 4 of when I have 4 in my deck. I only have 3 currently because that's all that I have. But how's it working? How's it feel in the Sapphire one? Or the Sapphire?
You just got to buy more. Got to buy more.
I will absolutely get another one once I optimize my deck. But yeah, she's great.
3 cost,
Andy?
3 cost, 1/4. So it dodges, dodges like the 3 damage breakpoint, or really 2 damage breakpoint because of grab swords is the only splash damage that we're looking at there. And the ward makes it impervious to everything. Like this card really only is affected by Under the Sea, Big Sisu, and Be Prepared. That's it. You know, short of some double grab your swords, 4 Tinkerbells, let's go, you know. And you're playing this on turn 3. The likelihood of you having a character that you can use its ability on the next turn is very, very high. Or you just you keep it there. It can hang out, and you build up 2 of them, and then you play something and you double hit them with it. But it's 3 cost, 3. You're essentially guaranteed 3 lore and an additional ward. Which forces, you know, board-based combat, board-based removal, which not all decks are doing. It doesn't have too many downsides, in my opinion. The uninkability is, if it was inkable, it'd be insane.
Well, I think it would be over. Like it would almost essentially be a no-brainer to put in. Like I think the reason for this being uninkable is you have to think about your uninkability count, but obviously I think you're going to make a sacrifice for this card for sure. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Like this is a card that has worked that I'm actually like not mad at, because as Brad said, right, like it is one of those cards. In order to get its key effect, is you have to turn it sideways. So you have to do other things, and certainly yes, it allows you to protect another one of your characters. So it makes things like, Medusa in particular less valuable as a control card for the game. But I just think this is one of those cards where it doesn't feel unfair to play, right? Like my biggest gripe against a card like with Ward is Prince John, because that effect remains. Just you never have to exert that card to get its effect. I know we've talked about this ad nauseum, but it's the reason why I'm not really mad about this. Like Ward is, I think, a good mechanic for the game, and this is how Ward should be implemented. That in order to get that effect, you turn it sideways and you gain its ability, but you put that card at risk. And I mean, at 1/4, at turn 3, you even going at, say you're on the play, it's like, I don't know that your opponent is going to have an answer to this on turn 3.
Fox.
Fox. Yeah. But, and so this may stick around. And it may not, but it may stick around. So I'm fine with it. I see why it's our villain this week.
You play it with something like in Sapphire Steel, and you go Alice on 3, Pluto Bodyguard on 4, and I think the combo that exists in the Amber Sapphire line, but really just exists in Sapphire, of a warded character on 2, ideally that Duke of Weaselton, meaning that it guarantees survives. I've seen a lot of people take the Amber Sapphire route and put in like Piglet, being a great character. Oh, you play 1 drop, then you play your Piglet, then you play the Alice, and now your piglet's questing for like 7 every turn or whatever, and it's got double ward. But you play that piglet on turn 2, and on their turn, they shift their Diablo and they sing Storm Rage on it, and you just, oh, okay, well, bummer. It just being able to have that negative tempo put on you is something that people are trying to eliminate from playing this game. They're trying to basically box you out of being able to do anything. One thing I do think is really interesting, and we could talk about here, is Alice essentially has a twin brother, I guess, in Peepo, expert shipwright, aka Goofy for our USA listeners. But it's a 5-cost Emerald card. It's 5-cost inkable, and it is a 1/4 with ward that gets 3 lore, and when it quests, it gives ward to someone else. So essentially, you're paying 2 more for inkability, and you've moved the 1 lore from the other character to yourself. And so, especially in my opinion, when you compare it to that, being able to play this Alice out on 2 turns earlier than you can with the Goofy, and that's not including ramp, although I guess ramp doesn't help you get to 3, but still, that is huge. And again, having another character to give that lore and ward to is, you got to have the character there to give ward to. You might as well give them the lore too. So
yeah, it's one of those things too where I'm trying to find a balance of when to use her. Like you said earlier, sometimes maybe just don't quest her. She can just sit there until you're ready to quest her.
Yeah.
I was finding situations last night where I didn't know, is it worth more to quest her and tag my Tipo or my my Diablo who's still sitting out there for that extra lore? Or is it worth it more to quest her and give the ward and extra lore to my drying genie? Because I know that Hunter in round 1 is going to Zeus that genie, right? And he can't Zeus the Alice, but then I'm missing out on that lore that turn. So I was constantly battling, like I could get the extra lore on this side, or I could ward the character that I just played. So there's a balance there that I was constantly trying to find on what the solution was to do, and I think that's good for the card, so that like it offsets how good it actually is by what you're choosing to do with it.
Right. I honestly, I think the value here, on most scenarios, I think is to ward the card that is coming down, versus a previous card to gain the lore. There's obviously, I think, reasons why you'd want to do it reversed, but I think that's like ultimately the game plan too, is because like, especially early in the game, is it the value of having more cards that survive to advance the win state? Because those cards that you drop down on turn 4 plus, if you will, are going to be significantly more valuable than the cards you have done previously. And so getting that 1 extra lore on a card that is almost certainly going to be banished in a challenge, or taken off the board in some way. But like I said, I think that there is an argument to be said, though, as the game state advances further along, though, maybe sometimes like when all you have is you're playing a bunch of 1-drop characters, maybe you don't care as much about that ward mechanic, and you care more about the additional lore. And like you said, Brad, I think that makes this card actually pretty interesting, and gives you a unique decision point.
Yep. Yeah, you're paying 1 lore essentially for what is almost guaranteed survival of that character. So if that character is worth it, then yeah. So like I could easily see Alice. We've got our Alice on 3, our Pluto on 4, which allows our Alice to quest freely. And then when on turn 5 we play All Hail Gantu, and we give up the lore in exchange for giving the ward to the drying Gantu, because Gantu surviving guarantees 4 lore, whereas if you were to give that ward, let's say again to your Nala or your other small character, and that additional lore you're potentially trading 4 lore by having your removed by something, ice block, Medusa, whatever. And so, yeah, it's situational. But
yeah, that's basically inviting the Sapphire Steel combo too. Because as you were saying that, I was looking. I just looked up Amethyst Sapphire Bodyguard. There's not a single one. So Blurple, like whenever Alice quests, I cannot tag a bodyguard to protect her like you can with Pluto in Blue Steel. So
yeah,
that's a
I
combo.
think bodyguards are unique to Amber and Steel, right?
Yep.
Yeah, interesting.
I
Just like Rush.
Yeah.
I think Rush is unique to only Ruby and Amethyst.
But with that, let's go to the Galactic Council Chamber. For those listeners who don't know, this is where we decide whether or not we are going to errata or ban this card, or do we give them a reprieve? Chief Justice Vince Hayden presiding.
Never not gonna laugh at this.
Vince is providing snacks. What?
Yeah. I will take some snacks.
All right, make your arguments.
I think with the balance that I just presented in my case just a little bit ago of what to tag with her and the fact that she's uninkable and whether you're tagging for the lore, tagging for the ward on your play, the uninkability of it makes her fine. I motion to dismiss the case.
Villainy.
I mean, we gotta make it interesting, right? We gotta do it for the content, as they say. I think we could simply I think we could simply change probably one word from and to or. So instead of ward and one lore, we could do ward or one lore. Because again, I think, man, by printing this goofy card, I understand that it's a different ink color, but like 2 more cost, man. And the cheaper something is, the less uninkability really matters because you're almost certainly gonna be able to play it. It seems like a very, very strong card. Any Sapphire deck can play this and just sit it down, and it's essentially guaranteed 3 lore whenever you're ready. And to be able to deploy that on the board at turn 3 is kind of spicy. So
yeah,
maybe
so for me here, I actually think it's an interesting errata just to change it to or, but I think basically it is an or already the way it's played.
Yeah.
Because you either choose to give a card +1 lore or you give it ward. And honestly, I think it's fine.
It's and right now it's and.
It's and now, but what he's saying, it's the same predicament. When you said that, I was like, it's going to be the same choice. You're either giving +1 lore and ward to the character that's drying, which essentially you're just giving it ward, right? Or you're just giving both to the character that can quest right now. So
yeah, but if I don't have Gantu on 5 and I play Alice on 3, Pluto on 4, or whenever, if I quest with Alice and give the extra lore to Pluto, and then Pluto, my bodyguard, quests for 2 now instead of 1 and has ward, that ward is okay. So turn 5 then, like, bad scenario. But my point being though that like when you give ward to something, especially like a bodyguard, now it means that you can't just let it go the bodyguard away and then immediately go after the people behind it. You're forced to actually go through the bodyguard. And I at least in my experience with the Amber Sapphire, I definitely enjoyed giving both lore and ward to one of the characters that didn't have it, like a Daisy Duck. Boom! Now brawl and stuff comes off the board. You can't get a cheap shot on one of my characters because not only did I pump it up, but I also gave it ward. So you're really forced into board-based combat.
Yeah, you do force them. That is a fair argument. And I will also say another argument too is that there are options to not exert a card and still give an additional lore, like with Lucky Dime, right? So you could still get that additional lore and have a warded character that you don't have to exert. So it is a fair errata. I wonder though, do you think, my question to both of you is if this said or, would you still be as high on it?
I think people would still play it. Yeah. because I think ultimately, at least in the lists that I've played it in, like you said, it doesn't need to be an and. The fact that it is an and makes it really good. But you know, it can still be good without it, because again, like we've brought up here, there are definitely times where you're just using it for the ward. And I mean, clearly this goofy card also exists, and it's just the ward. You aren't giving it the lore. But to have the utility of the additional lore, I think is really, really nice. So yeah.
All right. Well, the final judgment of this court is this case is dismissed.
Yay!
Without prejudice. So it may come back again if this card is really dangerous. I was slightly convinced by Villainy Andy's argument about the ore, but at this point in time, we're going to let this card remain unchanged or banned for the time.
Thanks, Your Honor.
And but let us know your opinion down in the comments below or on our Discord if you're an audio listener. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. And be sure to hit that bell icon, which is somewhere around here, wherever Andy decides to put me. I'm sure this is going to become a GIF. So, and to be notified of our next episode. And join us always on our Discord to continue the conversation and help plotting our devious plans. You can also ask villains the questions on our Discord or in the comments below, or tagging us wherever you are at Rules of Villainy. We're on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, probably Threads. I don't know. We're everywhere. You find us. But enjoy the holiday. And until next week, stay safe, fellow villains. And be wary of wannabe heroes who want to disrupt your villainous plans. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.